you addicted to travel? Now, when I ask that question, I don't mean the normal sort of love of travel that many people have, where they want to get away from their everyday life and they want to take a trip because it's something different. No, I'm talking about a travel addiction, where it can be just as real as an addiction to alcohol or tobacco or food or any other compulsive behavior. Now, a travel addiction may not be as physically harmful to you as some of these other things are, but it can be an addiction nonetheless. And I recognized early in my life that I had this addiction, and I used to arrange my school work and my work life around travel so that I could take trips whenever I could. Now that I'm retired, it's even more important for me to feed this addiction. So you may have this addiction, and you may know others who are addicted to travel, but here are some of the signs that you can tell someone is truly a travel addict. Well, one sign is that it's the main thing you think about, like almost all the time. It's what you dream about. It's the first thing you think about when you wake up in the morning and the last thing when you go to bed at night. It drives you. You must have it. Number two, whenever you see an airplane, you want to be on it. You're wondering, where are those people going? And I should be up there. I should be with them. I want to be there. That's part of that same addiction. Number three, every time you smell jet fuel, you get excited. And if you go for more than 60 or 90 days without smelling jet fuel, you start to get a little cranky. I know, that's always been the way with me. Most of the websites that you visit are about travel. They're travel blogs, they're travel YouTubes, they're all sorts of things that are related to travel, and that's what you constantly are feeding yourself. You subscribe to multiple flight search engines. It's the first thing you do in the morning when you're checking your email is you check Google Flights and find out, are there some great deals that are going somewhere? Or you subscribe to any one of a number of websites or search engines for finding cheap flights. Another sign of addiction, whenever you go into a bookstore, you immediately go to the travel section. That's your section. There's no reason to go to mysteries or historical fiction or anything like that. No, you're going to the travel section, and that's all there is to it. Another sign of travel addiction is that you keep a ready supply in a box somewhere of foreign currency that you've picked up along the way. So, for example, here's my box of currency from different countries. I've got Mexico, Oman, Malaysia, Korea, Czech Republic, Sri Lanka, Denmark, Japan, because I'm sure I'm going to go back there. Another sign of travel addiction is that you always have a suitcase in your bedroom open and ready to go. If it's not already packed, at least you've got your packing list down to a science so that it can be packed very quickly and easily. Another sign of travel addiction, when you meet friends, they don't ask you, well, how are you doing? How's your job going? Or anything like that. The first thing they ask is, where's your next trip? You end up equating any expenditure that you make with what that amount would buy you in travel. So for example, you go to Costco and you spend $350 on groceries. The first thing you think of is, oh man, $350. That could get me a really low budget fare, if I'm really smart, to Europe and back. Or I could spend 2 weeks in Southeast Asia for that. You're always thinking of that equivalent. You belong to a number of country collecting clubs, as we like to call them. And those would be like Most Traveled People or Nomad Mania. And these are websites where people are always checking off where they've been, what cities, what regions, and every World Heritage Site, all these things, and you can constantly compare yourself to other people, so that am I the oldest guy in Tennessee that's been to 110 World Heritage Sites, for example, that sort of thing. You spend countless hours planning trips, a sure sign of travel addiction. That's your main avocation. If you're not researching the websites and so forth, you're looking at maps and you're planning. And speaking about maps, you have a collection of maps that you've picked up over the years. Here's mine. You never know when you're going to go someplace where you're going to need this map, and it helps you in your research. Another sign of travel addiction is that you no longer refer to cities by their real names. You only call them by their airport codes. So, for example, I don't talk about Portland anymore. It's PDX or LAX or SFO or any number of airline codes. It just becomes the way you look at them. You no longer have a bucket list, because a bucket list would be pointless, because your bucket list, it would be just constantly expanding. A bucket list would necessarily define places that you would go. But if you know that you're truly a travel addict, you don't care for the destination as much as for the idea of going someplace new. It doesn't even have to be someplace new, because every adventure, every place you go, it's always a different time, and something will always be different. There's no bucket list anymore. They're just endless destinations. And finally, the sure sign that you are a travel addict is that you realize that nothing makes you happier than traveling. It's your joy. That's it. So now you can probably think of other signals of travel addiction or signs. And if you do, and there are some that I haven't noticed here, please make a comment about it, because I'd be interested in seeing what those are, and I'm sure our other viewers would too. So that's it for today. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again in the next video. Bye-bye.